Welcome back to our program. I'm your host, Rui Guo. In this segment, we will continue our conversation with Mr. Matthew Lien to talk about his performance in his music. Matthew, we know that you've held a number of different performances, live performances in Taiwan, big or small, north and south, east and west. And how does live performance, what kind of, role does live performance play in your, career in music?
Live performance is special because it is the opportunity you have to create a kind of energy with the audience and the musicians alike.
Yes.
Because the audience reaction and passion for what they're hearing influences what we, the musicians, are doing.
Okay.
And so we together share in a very special kind of experience. I don't draw a line between the musicians and the audience.
No.
I believe we are all musicians.
Yeah, in the room together, interacting all the time.
Because we both love the sound of what's happening and the feeling of what's happening.
Okay.
I also, I never use pre-recorded tracks.
No.
In the industry today, it's becoming more and more and more common that, you see musicians, even if they have a band, the basic tracks are still coming off a CD, coming off a computer somewhere. And for myself, I really want all the music to be live, which makes it challenging because a lot of my albums, in the studio, I mentioned that it's a world where you can create anything. But the challenge is then you have to create that live, which means you need to draw on lots of different instrumentation for a live performance. And that's not easy sometimes to find all the musicians you need. You have to make compromises. So you need to decide where to compromise. If you don't have an Armenian duduk player, can a ba'u or a soprano saxophone take that part? So you have to find some sacrifices which will not affect or impede the passion of the music. But it's also a lot of work, and I'm a taskmaster with musicians in the studio and in rehearsals. I want every detail, every note to be on it. Precision with passion is my motto. And this makes the process of staging a live production challenging.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah, a lot of hard work, but very rewarding in the end because the audience responds to what you've done. That's the payoff. And I always tell musicians before we go on stage, don't worry about mistakes now. If we make mistakes on stage, it's funny. We look at each other and we laugh because the work is over now. Now we just enjoy it. And it is funny. I mean, in the industry, in music, we call it clams. If you make a mistake, it's a clam. And so there's always a discussion at the end of the night who had the biggest clam. Right. And some of them are really, really funny. And some of them you can just keep playing and the audience doesn't even notice. But some of them have stopped the show, which is a very funny situation. And it's absolute honesty because we're not hiding anything. We're not trying to be something we're not. We, together with the audience, are real people with real passion, presenting something really special. And that makes concerts very unique.
But Matthew, just listening to you talking about live performances, I know you're very different from a lot of musicians that we know, whether it's contemporary, classical, or whatever, because a lot of them will shy away from live performances because, like you said, it takes a lot of, preparations, hard work, and, rehearsal and all that. But also the sense is that, a lot of musicians may be, afraid of some very naked and direct interaction with the audience, afraid the reception was not good and the response is not what they expected it. But certainly not the case with you. And especially now you're pursuing this eco music, you're trying to convey your messages about environmental protection, through your music, and you're seeking a response or soliciting a reaction from the audience. And has that, continued to be the pursuit, the primary pursuit, when you start preparing and staging live performances, when the time comes?
Well, there are times where a concert is prepared which has a very specific activist angle.
Or theme. I think.
A theme which relates to, for instance, in Canada, I created many, every year working with environmental groups, we would select a region or a watershed, and we would travel on that river. for weeks.
Really?
With other musicians together.
Okay.
And then I would sort of supervise the development of a multimedia production where the photographers on the trip would assemble their projection, and we'd have big screens as part of the set. And then together with the musicians, we would create a story of what we felt, what's beautiful, what's troubling, what's worrying about this issue. And then we would present this concert for people together with surround sound and projection and live music. And this is a very effective way to entertain people, inspire people, and educate and inform. And then in the lobby, at the end of the event, are the information tables where the environmental groups are waiting for your signature. You know, sign here, sign.
And for more information if you want
more information, and it's a great way to sort of gather. You know, one challenge that we often face is with an album. If I put out an album about an issue, maybe you're inspired, but you don't know what to do. What can you do? So if we do a concert event like this, and we have an opportunity for you at the end to do something, get involved. This is something people really need. So many times they care, they really care, but they don't know what can they do. And live concert can give people an opportunity to do something when you cooperate with groups that are also involved in the nuts and bolts of the issue.
Yes, and Matthew, we were talking before this segment started that you also work with international technicians and musicians, sometimes. How does it feel? I mean, you certainly have an international background. You've been, Asia, in Taiwan for many years. And also, you work with people from California, from Canada, from, Taiwan and things. How does it feel to have all this, international, group of people that you work with, whether it's technician, musician, or whatever? How do you coordinate and make sure that everybody speaks the same language or plays the same tune as the message that you're trying to convey?
I think that language, I've learned that language in itself is not the primary method of communication.
No.
It's actually a kind of a desire. It takes a type of personality to really want to know what it is you're trying to tell me, and a kind of personality that really wants to communicate something to you. And when you find the right people that have this kind of open, very open desire to communicate together, then the language barriers don't pose such a problem. And together with broken Mandarin, Taiwanese, and English and other languages, we can always deal with the issues at hand.
Of course.
The greatest challenges nowadays come from mostly concerts in China, where when we arrive at the venue, we have no idea what to expect. And so we have a guy over there, an advanced guy, who will do the research before we get there to try to find out what they really have and what kind of venue is it really. And and that's very important. And and it's one reason also in Taiwan why we bring musicians and technicians from Canada and the U.S. to work together with Taiwanese people here. Because it's also an opportunity to exchange knowledge and know-how. Our guys in Canada are very skillful, and they work on some of the biggest concerts that come to town. And so when they come here and we work together with the sound technicians here and the musicians meet, when I have some wonderful traditional musicians here, cultural musicians. And when an erhu player and a very great fiddle player can sort of exchange thoughts about their instruments, or a jazz flute player can exchange thoughts with the dizi, with the bamboo flute player. This is, I think, invaluable not only for the project at hand, but the development of all the people working on the team. And for me, that's key. I think everybody should walk away from the experience feeling like they grew from it and they are better as a result of having joined together on this project. And therefore, you'll see familiar faces in many of my concerts. People like to come back and do it again.
I think people who are watching our program certainly have sense from our discussion today so far that Matthew, music, especially eco music, is certainly more than just a job. And certainly more than just something that you do on a daily basis, but it's something that you are proud of. It's something that you're trying to convey very important messages, through the medium of music. So therefore, over the years, I suppose, I know that you've been nominated for many honors, and you received many honors in the process as well. What was the most, memorable and single most important recognition that you can think of that really, made you, proud of the work that you committed, and the kinds of recognition that you received from the community or from your peers or from from the government or some other agencies? What was that honor that you can remember?
Well, I have to say that the greatest honor is one thing I'm known for is that after a concert event, if my schedule allows, I will stay and sign for people.
Okay.
And if I can, if I have the time and the energy, I will sign for every last one and shake the hand of every individual and look each one in the eye and say thank you.
Okay.
Every single one.
Okay.
And the passion and there is a kind of emotional exchange that happens between every individual. And my concerts seem to attract young children and even older people, very elderly people.
Yes.
And it is that exchange which to me is the most rewarding by far. Of course, winning an award is a great honor.
Yes.
But it's, I mean, if you look behind it, there are judges who have their, it's a very great honor. However, it is a decision made by a relative few people. But when you have an event and there are hundreds of people
from the audience,
that is something that is really powerful.
Yes.
And,
unrehearsed, unpretended.
And there's tears in their eyes, and a little girl will tell me how she listens to my music every night to go to sleep, and an old man will shake my hand and just tell me he loves my music.
Thank you. Yes.
That is something that is not lost on me. I do not take that to tell me I'm such a great guy.
No.
I take that to let me know, to remind me of what an honor it is to be in service, to use my talent and my skills, which I'm so lucky to have, in a way that can inspire people and make the world better and let people feel better and let people feel more. That's
very important. Yes.
That is the greatest, Oscar you could ever accept, I think.
I echo that, yes. And we're going to take another short break on our program. We'll be right back, and we'll continue our conversation with Mr. Matthew Lien. I'll see you a little bit.